Hello everyone and welcome to Shard TCG, Richard here, and with this video I'm going to be having a run through the insect type creatures from set 1. Now for a brief overview of insects, they tend to be weaker creatures, but they're good at swarming, meaning it's easy to get quite a lot of them out on the field, and they tend to have nasty little effects as well. First off we have the Nerubi. This is a one-shard creature with 2 across the board. So that's quite average for a one-shard creature, but its first action, Acid Splatter, is an attack with Dissolve. Dissolve's good because it ignores blocks and also removes any shield tokens that a target it attacks may have. So it's useful for stripping down early game enemy defenses, so bulkier creatures with maybe 2 health and a 1 block, it could take it out. So kind of useful, but it's not where it shines. Where the Nerubi shines is its effect, Insect Luring Glow. Rest this creature. The next 1 or 2 shard insect can be summoned with the shard cost reduced by 1 until the end phase. This effect makes the Nerubi a must-have for insect decks, as it lets you get 1 shard insect from your hand out for free, just at the cost of resting the Nerubi. And you can even reduce the cost of 2 shard insects down to 1 shard. Now another cool trick is if you've got 2 Nerubis on the field, you can rest both of them and summon a 2 shard insect for free. Another fun thing is 1 Nerubi can summon another Nerubi, and if you just happen to have 5 Nerubis in your hand, for 1 shard you can get the lot out in one go, which is pretty funny. I've not seen it happen yet, but one day it'll happen. So yeah, the Nerubi is a must-have for an insect deck, and it's one of my personal favourite cards as well. Like, I quite enjoy playing insects because I do like swarm play, so get yourself a Nerubi. Next up we have the Gorgomite, another 1 shard insect. The Gorgomite has relatively low stats, though 1 block on a 2 health 1 shard creature is not bad, but its true strength comes with its swarm action effect. So Dust Up and Gravel Guard both have a swarm, which means if you've got another Gorgomite out, they can swarm together, and that swarm block stacks up really quick. Like if you've got 3 Gorgomites out, that's a block of 3, which that's like 3 shard or 4 shard territory block wise. So get a few Gorgomites out and you've got the ultimate wall of beetles essentially. Its effect, Thronging. When this creature is summoned, you may search your deck. Draw up to 2 creatures of the same species as this creature from your deck to your hand. This effect's nice because when you summon 1 Gorgomite, you can then get 2 more Gorgomites from your deck into your hand, which means next turn you've got at least 1 Gorgomite you can summon with that new shard that you get at the start of your turn. This effect makes Gorgomites really easy to pull out of your deck, and if you've got 5 in your deck, you're essentially pulling them all straight out so you can draw more useful cards as well. So it kind of makes them a free entry in your deck, so you might as well have all 5 Gorgomites, you know. I mean, look at their face, why wouldn't you? The Vespid, another 1 shard insect with relatively low stats again, but it does have both wounding on 1 attack, and then on its counter it's got a swarm. So if you've got a few Vespids out, immediately you've got a powerful swarm counter which can stack up pretty quick. Get 3 Vespids out and you can take out most 1 and possibly many 2 shard creatures. The wounding is also useful because it can chip away at bigger targets as well. What makes Vespids special, however, is their effect, Hive Mind. This creature may copy the actions of other allied creatures with Hive Mind. This means that the Vespid has access to any other creature that also has Hive Mind. Now we have a spell called Hive Mind, so if you run Vespids in your deck, you could also run Hive Mind and basically give the Vespid all of the actions of any other powerful creature you might have. Finally, Vespids also have the Metamorph title. Metamorph allows you to upgrade them to another subspecies, which brings us to the next creature, the Vesper Queen. Vesper Queens count as if they are Vespids, but they are also the Queen subspecies. So if you look at the title there, you can see the Queen is smaller text. This represents a subspecies. Now with the Vespid's Metamorph title, you can sleep the Vespid, and then summon the Vesper Queen on top of it sleeping as well. The drawback is it comes out sleeping, which means you have to wait the rest of your turn and the whole of your opponent's turn before you can start using it. But metamorphing doesn't cost a single shard. Now the Vesper Queen is a 3-shard creature. It has decent stats. 7 is above average for 3. It has a 3 swarm attack, which means any of the Vespids accompanying the Queen can share that Sovereign Sting attack, which means you're swarming for 3 per creature, which is going to rack up a lot of damage if you've got plenty of Vespids out. Noxious Wall is also quite a nice wounding block, so with 7 health plus 1 on top, it's going to have to take 8 damage or more to topple this creature, and everything it blocks is going to get a wound, so it's a very dangerous combo. Finally, the Vesper Queen also has Hive Mind. This means that all the Vespids have access to both Sovereign Sting and Noxious Wall, which means you could actually attack with the Vespids but keep the Queen safe if you wanted to play that strategy as well and just focus on her defending. It also means your Vespids act as an army of defense, similar to the Gorgomites, but with wounding on top, so you can get some powerful combos going if you play the Vespid and the Vesper Queen cards right. Kogmooska, a 1-shard insect. This is a very useful creature, not just for insect decks, but for any kind of deck really. It's cheap to get out, its stats aren't the best, but its effect is very useful, Demise of Knowledge. When this creature is destroyed, draw 2 cards. This means you can throw this creature in any deck, pop it out for 1 shard, it's got a nice counter, but if it gets destroyed, you get to draw 2 cards, so that just generally makes it quite useful on its own. But one more bonus is Spellbreaker, which lets this creature attack an opposing spell, such as a channel or binding spell or ritual, and destroy it, so long as it doesn't have a ward. Spellbreakers are great to have in your deck. You should always try and have at least one, because you never know when you're against an opponent that keeps throwing out some powerful spells that you need to clear out. The Magnarab, a 1-shard insect with a whopping 3 health. This is pretty high for a 1-shard, and then it's got a 1 block on top of that, which means it's going to take 4 damage to clear it out, which is quite a lot for a 1-shard creature. On top of that, it has the Tormentor title. Tormentor means that so long as it's in the ready state, opposing creatures have to attack it, which means it acts as a little guard to keep other creatures on your side of the field safe. This makes it great for insect decks, as Magnarabs are commonly used to protect Nerubis, which are used for summoning. Finally, its effect, Elemental Harness. When this creature attacks or counters, this creature deals +1 combat damage for every ally creature that has the same element as this creature. This effect is great for lava decks, obviously, because the more lava creatures you have in the field, the stronger your Magnarab is. It can also be useful if you've got like 2 Magnarabs out, they're going to start powering each other up. The Darkling, a 1-shard creature with the Cloaked title. Cloaked means that so long as it's in the ready state, it can't be targeted by opposing creatures or effects. This means your opponent can't even use spells directly on the Darkling. It is subject to splash damage, however, so be careful what other creatures you summon it next to. It might get taken out with its adjacent creature. It has 2/2/2, which is average for a 1-shard, but both of its actions have Swarm, which means the more Darklings you get out, the more damage it can do, and with having 2 attack and 2 counter with Swarm, you can take out some big creatures with only a handful of Darklings. Their effect, Opportunist. When an allied creature of the same type or element as this creature attacks, this creature can swarm with that creature. This means Darklings don't even have to wait for other Darklings around before they can swarm. They can just pounce in with any other insect, which can make them quite devastating in insect decks and also decks with a lot of shadow element creatures. The Ostermine, a 2-shard creature with Cloaked, Wounding and State Shift, and then a very big effect as well. There's a lot going on with this creature, so let's break it down. First, its stats are decent. The 4 attack with wounding is pretty powerful. Its health and counter aren't that great, they're a little below average, but its Cloaked title makes up for that. Its counter also has a State Shift effect. State Shift is useful for chaos creatures and chaos spells where they rely on the state of the field. This means whenever this creature counters, it flips the state from entropy to extropy and extropy to entropy, changing what various chaos effects do. The Ostermine's effect is Entropic Hunter. This creature deals +1 combat damage to cloaked creatures. And then, if the state of the field is in entropy, this creature can target cloaked creatures. If the state of the field is in extropy, this creature can ignore tormentors and guardians. This means this creature is quite good at taking out other cloaked creatures or bypassing tormentors and guardians. And by countering with Flux Pounce, it activates that state shift effect, which means you can flip between entropy and extropy and change what this creature can target as well. This is overall quite a diverse creature, and it's very useful in insect decks, but it also thrives in chaos decks. Now we have one more creature to go through, but before we do that, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps this channel grow, and also check out our Discord as well. The Iwig, a 2-shard insect with pretty tough stats. Pincer Cut with an attack of 5 is quite high for a 2-shard, and 4 is average health, which is quite tanky for a 2-shard as well, especially coupled with that 1-block Noxious Wall, which also puts wounding on. This creature has a lot going on just with those stats and that wounding block alone. Its effect, Contagion. When this creature damages a wounded creature, inflict +1 wound to creatures that are adjacent to the wounded creature. This is great for decks that focus on wounds, because if this attacks a creature with a wound on it, any creatures next to it are then both going to get a wound as well, so it's going to start spreading the poison. The one drawback is its attack doesn't have wounding, so you're relying on Noxious Wall to get that first wound going, unless you have another creature with it that can start off the wounds. Overall, Iwigs are great in insect decks because they're quite beefy, but also they're a must-have for decks that focus on wounds. And that's an in-depth view of the insects from set 1. Be sure to leave a comment down below. What's your favourite insect out of all these? Mine, obviously, is the Nerubi, although I do like the Iwig, and the Ostermine's great in my Chaos deck. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.